ਸਤਸੰਗ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules, and thank you all for bestowing me this opportunity to perform Siva. I want to thank the administration for helping and guiding me as I go on this path, and for whatever I do, say or act, may it simply be in the Divine's will. Sangat ji, during this time, please keep your mind focused on your mantra, whatever shape or form that may be. Today, Sangatji, we will contemplate death, the coming of it, the eventuality, the impact of our actions in meeting this journey, and how our deeds shape the very nature of this arrangement. So, Sangatji, what is death? In layman terms, it's the end of one's life, the cessation or extinction of an organism. Essentially, the bodily functions, vital organs shut down, they no longer work, the last breath is taken. And for a human, the body is put into the ground or cremated and burnt, turning to ash or dust. This universal fact applies to all beings in the physical plane of existence, whether you're as poor as a pauper, richer than a king, or an average Joe making their way into this world. Irrespective of the walk in life, all have no immunity to this. No one can avoid it. At some point, all of us will have to go in the end. When, how, who is unknown. The only known aspect is that we will leave every worldly object, aspect, or relation behind, except for our accumulated karmic deeds that will go with us and define our very existence beyond this current life. Our existence, Sangatji, is a very fragile one. For to even obtain the human body, the soul has to travel and experience the pain of going through the 8.4 million life forms before obtaining this precious body. 8.4 million times the soul has born and died to obtain the human life form, also known as the Tirasi Lakh June. It is only in this body that we are given a chance to meet the Divine and be rid of our karmic debt in such a short amount of time. The average life expectancy globally for a human being is between 70 to 75 years. It doesn't take too long to think about this and then reflect on your own life age to see the difference and how long we may have left, if we're lucky enough to have the whole human lifespan. In this lifespan, the common person delves into the pursuit of their own desires, spiritually or worldly. In these desires, we believe we will obtain a modicum of pleasure, of happiness, of peace. In this desire, we shape our thoughts and actions in chasing them. In today's day and age, with social media prevalent, society has been conditioned to search for happiness from which is derived of worldly objects and pleasure. The existence of obtaining these aspects in any manner of forms, which may be a particular lifestyle, social circles, relations, comforts, legacies, and many other types of aspects that may be important to someone. Simply obtaining an aspect provides a sense of satisfaction, a sense of purpose, a sense of happiness. But as these desires never fulfill someone permanently, the chase of a never-ending desire for fulfillment continues. An example can be work. You started a job. It was great for a time, but you're either bored, you need more money, work isn't providing as much benefits, toxic work environment, and it's time to move on to the next scene. Another can be relations. A person unsatisfied with how their relation is. They could be seeking another. There may be a serial dater. Someone is now looking for the next person to chase. Another example can be as simple as a car, or an object used for a hobby, or an electronic gadget like a phone. You got one, and now you want a better one. Our time is spent chasing worldly aspects that give us peace or pleasure for a period of time. However, with these actions, we do not realize how close death actually is. We neither think or see it as we're so wrapped up in our everyday thought process and lifestyle. In this, we neither think nor reflect on the coming of death, nor the aspects of real importance to us. Guru Arjan Dev Ji tells us this. Mirt hasai sir upre, pasua nahi bujai, pad sad hankar mein, marna nahi sujai. Death hovers over his head, laughing, but the beast does not understand. Entangled in conflict, pleasure, and egotism, human beings do not even think of death. Immersed in our own dramas, lifestyles, families, we forget the real reason as to why we are here and believe the permanence of the aspects or objects we receive, feel, and think, rather than the impermanence of our situation, reality, and what we perceive our own reality to be. Bhai Sahib Ji once told us this. Before we are born, before the soul enters the fetus, we are told that this world is a play, an illusion, and that when we enter this world, we are to stay true to our path, our purpose, our spiritual father, the divine, and to not forget. However, as soon as we are born, in that moment, we forget all of what was said to us and become emotionally attached to the allurement of Maya. And as we grow, this continues in other forms. For example, as a child, you play with toys, objects. All the child wants to do is play. And as the child grows up, the object or aspect they look into differs. As you grow into an adult, you earn to provide for yourself, family, to travel, eat out, socialize, hobbies, whatever the action is done. The object or aspect changes, but the emotional attachment to Maya stays. And during this time, death is a rare thought until it happens to someone we know, or through social media, or on TV regarding random passerbys. Majority of cases will think this way, until a new thought emerges, and slowly death becomes nothing but a mere memory for us. Until it's our own time. And when death comes, it won't be a pleasant experience. Far from it. A Sufi saint named Sheikh Farid said the coming of death is akin to a marriage. As if we did not find the divine in this life, then the angel of death will find us instead. Jit dihare tanvri sahe le likhaye, malak je kinni sunida moho dikhale aaye. जिंद ने मानी कड्डिए हड्डा को कड़खाए साहे लिखे न चलनी जिंदू कौन समझाए जिंद विहोटी मरण वर ले जासे पड़नाए. The day of the bride's wedding is preordained. On that day, the messenger of death, of whom she had only heard, comes and shows its face. It breaks the bones of the body and pulls the helpless soul out. That preordained time of marriage cannot be avoided. Explain this to your soul. The soul is the bride, and death is the groom. You will marry her and take her away. The helpless soul who spent their time chasing each and every desire possible is now screaming and kicking as they are dragged and beaten as they are taken to the Dharamraj, king of Dharam, the judge who will read out the karmic deeds of our life recorded by Chitra and Gupta, the scribes, and determine our fate. Now we could go on and on into this aspect, and some people's beliefs may vary significantly, but the main point is, Sangatji, and irrespective of one's belief, death will come. How we live will determine what the end of that rope looks like. Think of the actions we take on a day-to-day basis. If all we are doing is chasing our worldly desires, how does that provide good karmic deeds? What deeds are we actually sowing to help us reap in the future? What are we actually earning? A saint named Sant Baba Jaswant Singh Ji would always say, when someone tells you life is to just drink, eat and be merry, that is wrong and will be wrong. For in this life, you will simply just spend your time away rather than accumulate your treasure, your passage. Imagine you're stuck on an island. The island is surrounded by a vast degree of oceanic water. You see a place in the distance, but you can't reach it. A ferryman is on shore with its boat to provide passageway to this place. The ferryman demands payment for you to reach to the other side. You look back at what you can give, what you have accumulated in your lifetime: jewels, houses, cars, clothes, recreational substances, your own body, whatever it is you feel you have accumulated in this life. The ferryman rejects it, as only good karmic deeds can power this boat. What are these good karmic deeds, Sangatji? Deeds that are selfless in nature, deeds that are not wrought by the plundering five thieves: anger, attachment, lust, greed, ego, deeds that will transcend your nature from that of Maya to the divine. In these deeds and deeds only will the ferryman accept payment, for everything else will be left behind, for only trading on the true name is accepted in the court of the divine. पतन कूके पातनी वंजोत रख विलार पार बिवंदड़ डिठ मैं सतगुर बहुत चार एक नी लदिया हिक लद गए हिक पारे परनाल जिन्नी सच वनंजिया से सच्चे प्रभ नाल. At the ferry, the ferryman announces, "O travellers, hurry up and cross over. I have seen them crossing over there, the boat of the true Guru, the divine. Some are getting on board, and some have already set out. Some are weighed down with their loads. Those who deal in truth will remain with the divine." Our actions dictate our present and future. Only by acting in truth do we have a chance to cross over. Now, it's very natural for someone to have worldly objects, cars, houses, relations, as this is a part of human life, as we have to live in the world, earn an honest living, contribute to society, be responsible to whatever we start. There's nothing inherently wrong with obtaining or doing worldly actions, as long as there's a balance in life to cater for accumulating good karmic deeds. Just like in your current life, you want to think about ensuring you have the best possible future for yourself and potentially others around you, good prospects, taken care of, comfortable, and other aspects in life. But the other side to this, Sangatji, is, are we also thinking about the future beyond this life? As death will still come, as it has come countless times before, and depending on our actions, it may come countless more. Ajamal, a son of a prominent Brahmin family, a Hindu priest with much reputation and wealth, fell into a life of destituteness and poverty for his love of Maya, and all the way up to his very last days. On his deathbed, he could see the very angel of death coming for him. In this, he was calling out to his son, his worldly relation, to help him. His son, named Narayana. He was calling out to him for help, "Narayana, Narayana," but no one was coming to help him. And then, in his last moments, he remembered the life before poverty and the divine. Narayana being another word for the divine. And he remembered this. And so he started to meditate on this name, the name of truth. And just as death was about to sweep him, he was saved. Ajamal was saved even in these moments. Now we say the divine is the name of truth, but what does that mean? If the world we see as reality and everything in it is an illusion, not real, and us living here is simply being present in this illusion, then when we meet the divine and die, are we simply going back to our true home? Thus the true name, true creator, true divine. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the first Guru, once said this to his long life companion Mardana Ji, and said to Mardana Ji, "Go into the town and purchase truth." Mardana Ji was a bit bewildered after hearing this and confused, but nonetheless he followed the request of the Guru still. And all day within the town, he went from merchant to purchase truth, but every single one of them said they didn't have it. And eventually he came across such a merchant that when he asked to purchase truth, in return, the merchant answered, "Truth is death and living is a lie." If death is truth, then why have we not reached it already? If we are born and die again repeatedly, then how have we not obtained truth? The reason, Sangatji, is for one simple fact. We have no idea how to die. Kabir मरथा मरथा जग मुआ मैं पिर न जानिया कोय ऐसे मरने जो मुरे बहुर न मरना होय. Kabir, dying, dying, the whole world has to die, and yet none know how to die. Let those who die die such a death that they shall never have to die again. To die a death so great we never have to go through the pains of birth and death again. This death Saint Kabirji is referring to is dying in the Shabad, losing yourself in the Shabad. By losing yourself, Guruji refers to your worldly intellect, our five passions, five thieves, our ego, our wrath, lust, greed, attachments. These have to die so you can live. To die in the Shabad means letting go of your attachments to Maya. The emotional attachment of Maya can range from the body to worldly objects, relations, an image in the mind, identity, ego, anything that translates to Maya. To lose this worldly attachment, we have to attach ourselves to the divine instead. Our thoughts need to be catered to that where it will take us to the divine, and not that of Maya. Similarly, our actions need to be that which reflect divine values, compassion, kindness, righteousness, divine love. To do this, we have to perform the essence of the three pillars of spirituality: Sangat, Seva, meditation. Seva, selfless service, the act of an action where there is no modicum of an expectation in return. There is no modicum of an expectation where they will receive anything in return. In this we build humility and compassion, serving only out of love to the congregation. Meditation, calming and focusing the mind on a direction to the divine, disciplining the mind to not go haywire and let the emotions run rampant. Sangat, a like-minded community that will help elevate us spiritually and that we can learn from and grow from, and not just some random company, a company and community of pious souls, Satsangat. These three pillars allow us to move away from Maya mind towards the divine, in which we will perform actions that please the divine. And as we do the Sangatji, our innate nature will change. We'll be dyed into the very fabric of the divine. On the road to dying in the Shabad, Kabirji tells us this: Kabir, ek marante do muwe, doy marante char, char marante she muwe, char purk doy nar. Kabir, when one died, two were dead. When two died, four were dead. When four died, six were dead. 4 males and 2 females. As the soul dies themselves into the Shabad, the nature of that person will change. First, the death of the mind. By this meaning the worldly intellect, retaining the divine intelligence. The worldly intellect, to an extent, is used to live in this world, but the logical mind will take you only so far as this path is based on trust and love to the divine, in which the divine intelligence will be what takes us further. And so with the consciousness focused on the divine and the death of the worldly intellect, the attachment is shifted to the divine and not to Maya. And so the attachment to the worldly objects, aspects, and relations fade away. In this, the emotional turmoil caused by the fluctuation of these worldly attachments are no longer a consequence to the pious soul attached to the divine. In this, the worldly attachment has died. With 2 died, came 4. In loss of the attachment to Maya, the desire for anything within the play of Maya also goes. Cars, houses, material wealth. It's not desired by the individual as their interest and passion grows in trading the true wealth, in Sangat, Seva, meditation, to the divine. Thus the desire for Maya fades. In death of the worldly desires and attachment, the classification of what their desires provided them, made them who they are, their identity, is no longer of significance to them. Class, social status, wealth, birthrights, this all ceases to matter to them. Their identity is no longer a thought in their mind, as the humility and love for the divine is so deep within, they simply beg to be the dust of the feet of the saints, to be nothing for the divine, as the divine is everything. Thus, the death of the ego. As the ego and the worldly desires are no longer apparent, 4 had died. In the process of 4 dying, then 6 died. With the worldly desires and ego subdued, and their passion and interest on the divine, and realization that the divine is everywhere, in anywhere, in anything, and within, these souls would only sit in the company of the pious, seeking existing worldly company or relations that would take them away from the divine is not wanted, but rather guarded against. And in this, in anything they were to say or do, would simply be of divine nature. They would steer clear of gossip and slander, leaning towards where they do or say something, it is with meaning, in love, compassion, kindness. In this, death of the negative or Maya-induced actions or words, and the company that would take them away from the divine. When all 6 are dead, subdued, the soul has died themselves into the Shabbat, subduing the tumultuous mind, worldly attachments, worldly desires, ego, and guarded against the company that will take us away from the divine, and aware and vigilance of their own words and actions. In this Sangaji is the process of dying ourselves, and only with a constant continued effort and with blessings from the divine will we be lucky to do so. However, Sangaji, let's make this very clear. If whilst doing the actions of seva, meditation, sitting with the pious souls, yet still falling prey to our Maya-induced actions, thoughts, emotions, the 5 thieves, then understand we are still attached to the play of Maya. We have to digest every essence of the teachings and put them into practice. Otherwise, it will be nothing more than a ritual. We can sit in the congregation, we can pray together, but if the body's in one direction and the mind is in another, then quite frankly, we're not learning or digesting any teachings. It is a constant, continued effort for any individual to remain vigilant in the face of Maya. Now, as a human being, it's very natural for a person to be angry if they feel they've been offended, or if they're in a relationship, feel desire for their partner, or be proud of their identity. What is prudent is to understand where it's coming from. Is this from a place of Maya or the divine? And to not be drawn into a spiral of negative thoughts or actions that lead us to the path of Maya, where this becomes so negative to the soul, mind, and body, and it becomes damaging, long-lasting, and engraves habits that over time become very hard to change. And continuing in that nature alone will make us fall into the clutches of death. The Saint Kabirji once had such a neighbor. This neighbor hated Kabirji with such a passion that every day they would say hurtful words. They would slander Kabirji every single day. And yet in return, Kabirji was very happy and at peace, for his mind was focused on the divine. He was simply in bliss. But the slanderer kept this up every single day. And over time, the slanderer's health worsened and worsened, and he eventually passed away. And Kabirji was sad at the passing for this slanderer, for the slanderer was no longer taking Kabirji's accumulated sins from him. In slandering, the neighbor ruined themselves and met death. In humility and focus on the divine, the Kabirji died in the Shabbat. Dujya pai birtha janam gavaye, aap dubbe sagle kal dubbe, gur bole bik khavaniya. In love with duality, they waste away their lives in vain. They drown themselves and drown their entire family, speak in lies, they eat poison. Falsehood does not mix with truth. We can only live and die in truth. Only through this, with blessings, can we escape the pains of death. Bhai Sahib once told me, many people are spiritually bankrupt. They may spend time praying, but on the same day their emotions, thoughts and words run wild. In doing so, whatever they spiritually save, they are also spending. In this Sangatji, how can anyone hope to pay the ferryman for passage? Ultimately, we are responsible for our actions and words, and when the angel of death is knocking at the door to collect the debt, no one will save us. We'll be dragged from our bodies and away in our marriage with death. So we need to be vigilant, aware of ourselves, our own nature, our own actions, thoughts, to ensure we don't plunder ourselves into oblivion. We have to go deep into our meditation, deep inside, past the mazes of Maya to find the divine inside. For only the divine can make us worthy. Only the divine can save us. Only by blessings can we be free of the play. But we have to take the first step to do so. Sant Baba Jaswant Singh Ji would always say, we are wasting the time. For every second you spend is a moment now gone. For time is precious, and every second is a missed opportunity. Some opportunities may be big in size, some small, but nevertheless they are opportunities of a lifetime. Take it, and don't waste a single second of it, because you never know when your last would be. So go deep inside, Sangatji, past the myriads of tricks, illusions, voices, and all sorts Maya has spun to distract you, and find the divine inside. Perform selfless seva to build divine values within, and find the Satsangat, the company of the holy that you can grow and learn from. In these actions, may we be blessed to die into the Shabbat. And if you ever need assistance, seek a true spiritual master, as they will guide you in the way you require it. We all have to depart this world. Even the pious soul, who is no longer connected to Maya, but to the divine, will shed their physical presence. But those who have understood and lived this message tell us not to mourn for them, but to celebrate them. For that person has now reunited with the divine. Their comings and goings have ended. They are free of the play, free of the pains of Maya, free of being plundered by the 5 thieves, free of their own Maya-induced desires. Ek mere panche mil rove, omme jai shabat malat ove. When someone dies, the 5 passions meet and mourn his death. Overcoming self-conceit, he washes off his filth with the word of the Shabbat. This is the power of the Shabbat Sangatji. Liberation through divine values and blessings, cleansing through divine actions, and saving ourselves from the pains of death. Sangatji, it seems our journey has come to an end. Thank you all for listening, and I beg for your forgiveness for anything I've said. God bless you all. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.